Oh, I can go ahead?
Go ahead.
Perfect. Minister, can you tell us precisely what the military was asked to evaluate in its report on the F-35? Was it about the cost and viability of operating the two fleets, or was it about the military viability of having only a limited number of the F-35s? What were they asked to look at, and what was the next steps going to be?
The Prime Minister announced last spring that he asked the Department to perform another review of the F-35 acquisition. And he announced it, well, clear last week that review is still underway in the Department. We look forward to seeing the results of the review as the work is completed.
So you don't have any idea of what was the ask for us today?
The review is in the hands right now of officials in the Department, both the Canadian Armed Forces and the Department of National Defence, and they are, as operational experts, assessing, and they'll have more to say about it when the review is made obviously public.
Gotcha. And I guess just switching the topic, is there any update on how the armed forces are going to be assisting in the wildfire operation responses?
Listen, it's just incredible to see what the Canadian Armed Forces have been doing. We've got hundreds of wildfires right now across the country. The Canadian Armed Forces have been deployed right now to Newfoundland, to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, yet again to Manitoba. They've been airlifting thousands, I believe it's 6,000 to 7,000 Canadians out of harm's way. It's an incredible testimony of their resilience, their service, putting themselves in harm's way for the benefit of Canadians. So we respond to requests for assistance from the provinces. We have supported each and every one of those requests for assistance, and the Canadian Armed Forces have, without hesitation, stepped up again and again and again to provide assistance to Canadians. I think it's a marvel to behold, and I think all Canadians owe them a great debt of gratitude.
Minister, if I could, what brings you to the base today?
It's a wonderful opportunity for me to meet with members of the forces, the leadership of the base, learn more about the actual goings-on here at Borden, its focus and priorities, but also to be able to share our wonderful news around compensation and pay that was released last Friday in great detail, to explain to them what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it. Frankly, a pay increase of the kind that we announced Friday is long overdue. This has been happening now for quite a while in terms of the demand for it. We decided that we would get this done in the first 100 days of government. We did, and I think it's being generally very positively received. We're hopeful that this will lead to better recruitment, better retention, and so we're moving forward.
I was just going to ask you, the soldiers must have been happy to hear when you met with them today.
They are. I think they're grateful. I think it's also important for all Canadians to know that we need to take care of our members of the armed forces. We need to pay them appropriately. We need to make sure that they have the supports that they need, that their families have the support that they need, and which is exactly what we're working on together as a government, to be able to make sure that we rearm them, we reinvigorate them, we keep them moving forward. It helps, like I said, with our recruitment and retention, and that's why there are salary increases, for example, pay increases for those coming into the armed forces and those who have been here for some time. We need people to stay on both ends of the spectrum.
Does this have to do with NATO and the increases that we're seeing here that we want to increase?
Well, look, we committed to increasing our expenditures to 2% of GDP a full 5 years ahead of schedule by March 31st next year. This is part and parcel of reinvesting in our Canadian Armed Forces, making sure that we have a dynamic, a resilient, and a lethal armed forces. That involves obviously making sure that people can live well in Canadian society. Cost of living has gone up. Our folks in the Canadian Armed Forces have not had a serious pay increase in decades. In fact, this is the largest single generational investment that we've seen in compensation, and we're very proud of it. We hope it helps.
I just had one more question. So sorry, just going back to the F-35 report, given that there has been a very preference of the F-35 among the RCAF, what do you think the answer would be for that?
Well, I think what we should do is wait, as the Prime Minister suggested, until we see the actual review. When the review is completed, we can take our lead from the experts that performed the review, both in the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. Obviously, they're going to, it would be strange if they didn't look at the operational needs going forward, and I'm sure they'll have a lot more to say about that. So I very much look forward to seeing it and receiving it in due course.
Any question?
What are you doing now? Are you all done in Bay Area or next?
We are actually heading off for a week-long tour across a number of bases, including in Winnipeg, Cold Lake, Edmonton, to get a better handle on what's going on in each one of those bases, what their needs are, how well they're doing. Obviously to share the news as well around compensation and benefits, making sure that we're helping with recruiting and retaining the instructors that we need, the specialists that we need, making sure that folks understand that we're with them, that the people of Canada are with our Canadian Armed Forces in a way that is, I think, very positive, and we reflect that in our priority for defence going forward. So we're hopeful that sharing this good news around the country will help to build morale, will help to drive our Canadian Armed Forces forward and make the improvements that we think the Canadian Armed Forces members deserve.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.